Hello and welcome to Outlook 2016 training. My name is Kara Clifford, and we're going to go into all of the features and functionality of Microsoft's email tool, Outlook. For those of you familiar with previous versions of Outlook, you'll notice that the interface is very similar to Outlook 2010 and 2013. There are a couple differences, but let's go ahead and talk about what is similar. Along the top, we have our ribbon interface made up of command tabs like Folder, View, and Home. And within each of those command tabs, we have command groups. Those are listed at the bottom, helping you find the buttons that you're looking for a little bit easier. Along the left-hand side, we have our navigation pane. This can be minimized or maximized, depending on what's most convenient for you. And along the bottom, we have our status bar where we can see how many unread messages and whether or not our folders are up to date, meaning whether we're connected to the server. A few differences for those of you that have used other versions of Microsoft Outlook is that on the right-hand side, we no longer have the to-do bar. That was default in Outlook 2010, and you can turn that on by going to the View tab of the ribbon. And from the View tab of the ribbon, you can go ahead and select To-Do Bar, Calendar, People, Tasks, and this gives you previews into the other sections of Microsoft Outlook. From the File tab of the ribbon, this brings us to the Backstage view, where we can go into our account settings, set up automatic replies, but most importantly, go to the options. The Outlook options are where we can change all of the defaults, including the theme, changing the blue color to a dark gray or to a white, or we can get into the specifics of each of the different sections of Outlook, like the Mail, Calendar, and People. The 2016 interface is relatively similar, and again, this makes it very nice when moving from one version of an application to another. One of my most favorite things to do within Outlook 2010 or 2013 when I'm starting the day and getting to a number of emails is to switch into Reading View. Down at the status bar here, I can select the Reading View option, and it minimizes my to-do bar and my navigation so that I have more room for my reading pane right in the center, making it easy for me to arrow down and go to the different emails that I need to read when I get into the office during the day. So again, the Outlook interface in 2016 has remained relatively similar. The one big difference for those of you using older versions where you liked the to-do bar is that you need to turn that on, but it's very simple. Just go to the View tab of the ribbon, go to the Layout command group, and put a check mark next to the items you want displayed on the to-do bar. If you decide you want to turn it off, you can use the Off option, and now your to-do bar is removed. I'll give you a second to try that on your own and explore the new 2016 interface. The Tell Me feature in Outlook 2016 is a great way to avoid having to memorize the location of every button. If I'm looking for something like the to-do bar, I can go ahead and select to-do bar from this search menu right at the top. What the Tell Me feature is doing is it's pulling up all of the menus from the different buttons within our ribbon. Here I can turn on tasks on my to-do bar, or I can go back and turn them off without having to ever navigate to the View tab of the ribbon. So rather than having to spend all of your time navigating and searching for features, go ahead and type whatever it is you're looking for into this Tell Me search bar. Now, if I was to search for something like email signatures, I'm going to get the Help menu or Smart Lookup. It's not actually bringing me to the Signature button. And the reason for this is that signatures are found within the new email window. So I opened up a new email, and now if I type in signature, here I have that option to create a new signature for my email. So using the Tell Me feature makes it very simple to find information on the ribbon without having to memorize the location of everything. Just remember that whatever it is that you're searching for, you want to use the same language or the same name that Microsoft uses. If not, it'll give you things like Smart Lookup. Smart Lookup and Get Help are things that we'll go on later on in this module. Go ahead and try it on your own. Use the Tell Me feature to look for features within the ribbon. Maybe you're out of office or email signatures from the new message window. Outlook is made up of 4 main parts, and that includes mail, calendar, people or contacts, and tasks. We navigate through the different sections of Outlook through the navigation pane. And one of the really helpful features that we have available to us is called peeking. If I hover over these different sections, it gives me a little preview. Now, this is called the compact navigation, what I'm seeing right now. And some people prefer to have the standard or non-compact version of the navigation pane. To access your navigation pane options, you're going to use the ellipses at the bottom of the navigation pane and then select Navigation Options. Here I can remove the check mark from Compact Navigation. I can reorder things, like maybe I don't use tasks and I want to move those to the bottom, or maybe I want to just show more visible items. Once I say OK, I'm no longer in the compact navigation, and it's made those icons a lot larger. This, I find, makes the peeking feature work much better if I want to go and look for certain contacts or people, or go to a certain event like my lunch meeting tomorrow. I can select on that meeting, double-click it, and it brings me directly to my meeting invite. Navigating around Outlook through the different portions, like mail, calendar, people, or tasks, is really convenient with this peeking feature. And using that ellipses to go into those navigation options is how you can customize it with the information that you use most frequently. Try that on your own. Go ahead and change from standard navigation or add the compact navigation, and then hover over the top of these buttons. Again, you don't have to click down. Once you see the peeking menu, go ahead and select on something, whether a date from the calendar or an upcoming task in your task list. Another new feature in Outlook 2016 is the Smart Lookup. We saw that briefly when we were using the Tell Me feature. They're combined into the same area. The difference between Tell Me and Smart Lookup is that Tell Me is going to locate items on your ribbon, features and functionality within the application, whereas Smart Lookup is actually going to use the internet to pull information through the Bing search engine. I'm going to type in something like, Valentine's Day, as that was yesterday. And as you can see, there's nothing that comes up as an option in the ribbon called Valentine's Day. But at the very bottom, there is Smart Lookup on Valentine's Day. I'm going to go ahead and use my mouse to select this option. On the right-hand side, it opens up an Insights window where it gives me the definition of Valentine's Day, what it is, also called St. Valentine's Day, and celebrated on February 14th. If I keep scrolling down, I get Wikipedia information, or I get Bing image searches for Valentine's Day, and some different web searches. Again, all information just like I went to Microsoft Bing and did a search for Valentine's Day. I think this is really useful whether you're composing emails or looking for locations to hold meetings. It's great to be able to search the internet without having to leave the application. Microsoft has made it really easy to do a search throughout whatever it is you're looking for using this Insights and using the Tell Me box. So whether I want to search for something like puppies, I can select Smart Lookup, and here I've got a nice little Wikipedia of all of the different puppies, hush puppies, regular puppies, pictures of puppies. So again, Microsoft is making it even easier to get all of the important information into your email without ever having to leave the application. Go ahead and try that on your own. Search for something that you're interested in, something that normally you'd have to minimize the application, open up a web browser, and see just how easy it is and how convenient it is when looking for information or content for your emails or meetings. One of the most common things we use Outlook for is sending new emails. From the Mail portion of our navigation, we have the Home tab of the ribbon with our New Email button. If I hover over the top of the New Email button, I can see that there is a keyboard shortcut, Control-N, that will actually open up the new mail. I can use Control-N to create a new email, or I can select the button here. I also have the option of going to the Tell Me feature, and I can select New Mail Message from this. This will open up a new window. It always opens up in a new window. And here I can go ahead and insert the to, I can CC, put in my subject line. I'm going to go ahead and compose an email to one of my colleagues, and I'm going to go ahead and put in the subject of Outlook 2016 recording. I'm going to go ahead and just leave the subject line as the body of the message as it is, just really testing out this feature. Now, once I've opened up the new mail window, I can go ahead and select Send. Before, I might want to format it using my basic text formatting options. I might want to attach files or change my signature. I also have a number of other options on the other side of the ribbon that we'll go into shortly. But once I'm ready to send my email, I can go and select the Send button, and if I click that, my email has been sent, and I can go into my sent items to verify that that email was sent to the appropriate person or what time it was actually sent at. Again, using keyboard shortcuts can save you a lot of time, but we also have the Tell Me feature so that if you do not see the new email button, don't worry, you can just type it into this search bar up at the top. When creating new emails, there are a number of options that you have. To get to those options, you'll actually need to be in the new email window. From the Options tab at the top, this is where we can add things like the From. If you're managing multiple email accounts, it's nice to turn this on so you can be sure that you're sending it from the appropriate account. In addition to the show fields like BCC and From, we've got permissions, voting buttons, requesting delivery receipts or read receipts, and then we have things like saving the sent email to a specific folder. This can be valuable when you're looking to save all emails related to a specific product in one area. We also have delay delivery. This can be handy if you want to prepare emails to be sent out at a specific time. You can choose this do not deliver before 5 o'clock today or weeks out. I use this when I have a number of emails to be sent to remind people of meetings or information that's going out, and I can get it all done in advance. It's very nice. So the options really give you a lot of great information, and there's one other section which is themes. This is related to the background, the fonts. With Outlook, themes I think are less valuable, but in applications like Microsoft PowerPoint and Microsoft Word, they can become very helpful. In addition, if you choose to select another theme, again, it's not going to change the background, but it will change the font. So you can notice that the font is switching because each one of these themes is connected to a specific font type. So take a minute to look at the options on your own, explore the different options within Outlook emails, and see if any of these would be valuable to you. In later modules, we'll go into more detail on using the voter buttons. When creating new emails, oftentimes we want to include documents like Word documents or PDFs. We can do that using the Attach File option. I'm going to go ahead and put in the email address that I'm going to email a file to, and I can go ahead and add something like contact info. Once I have my subject line and who I'm sending the message to, I'm going to go up to the Message tab of the ribbon and select Attach File. Now, one of the new features that we have in Outlook 2016 is it gives us all of our previously saved files. But I'm going to go ahead and attach something that wasn't recently created by using the Browse This PC button at the bottom. Once I open this, it brings me to my desktop where I can add my contact info document, insert that into the email message, and hit send. This is a really nice feature, having those recent items, and I find it really convenient because oftentimes we're creating files or working with files and then wanting to share those pretty immediately. This saves a lot of time having all of those recent items available in this drop-down menu. In addition to attaching files from your computer, you can also use Outlook 2016 to attach files from online cloud services like OneDrive. I'm going to go ahead from my same email message, choose Attach File. I get a menu, and one of the options is to browse web locations. Because I'm logged in to my OneDrive and I've had that synced to my computer here, I can select OneDrive, and that's going to open up my Explorer window and bring me to files that are saved on the cloud. Here I have a number of different documents and Excel files that I can then attach to this email. The difference is it doesn't attach it like a traditional email attachment. It actually creates a link to the location of that file on my OneDrive account. This is really handy when you want to eliminate so many redundant copies of documents and make sure that everyone that you're sharing this file with is accessing and editing it from the same point. Again, permissions and the way you set up to share this document will affect how much people are able to do or change, or if they're only just able to read the email. But this is a great new feature in Outlook 2016, is being able to attach files not only from the computer itself, but from any OneDrive accounts that your account is synced with. Go ahead and try this on your own. If you're not signed in to Outlook, you will need to sign in. You can do that by going to the File tab, and under the File tab, under the Office account, this is where you would want to sign in. If you don't see anyone signed in and you have Office 365, go ahead and use the Sign In button. Once you've signed in, then you'll be able to, from the new meeting window, go to Browse Web Locations and access any of your OneDrive files. By default, the Outlook 2016 interface has the reading pane turned on. The reading pane shows you what is actually in the message, although you can double-click on any email and see the full message from a new window. To turn off the reading pane or move it, you can go to the View tab and adjust the reading pane options here. I personally find the reading pane very useful and helpful, rather than having to open up each message within the Outlook inbox. Now, to reply to a message or respond to a message, I can use the Home tab of the ribbon, or Microsoft has made it very easy right above at the top of the reading pane. I can also use the Reply, Reply All, and Forward buttons here. If I open up a new message that hasn't been read yet, I can then use those same reply messages, which I'm going to do right here. And it doesn't open this reply up in a new window. I think this is really nice because I like to avoid having so many open windows on my computer. Here I can say thanks for sending this over and go ahead and click send. Now, if I want to maybe open this up in a different window, maybe to copy and paste something into a new email message, or to just have record that I need to still do something with it, I can use the pop out button. Or if I've decided that this isn't what I want to say, I can use the discard button up at the top, and this will delete this reply. Now, it doesn't delete the original message, just the draft of the message that I am replying to. I'm going to go ahead and click send, and that will go ahead and reply my message. Here I have the sent items options, and I can see that here is the message that I just sent. Go ahead and try this on your own. Reply to an email that you've received recently, and try using the buttons right above that reading pane. Now again, if you don't like the reading pane, if you want to be able to open up these messages in a new window, you can simply turn that off by going to the View tab of the ribbon, the Reading Pane button, and turn it to off. By default, all new messages that you receive, whether in your inbox or in your sent items, are going to be displayed using a conversation view and displaying them in order of date. This is traditional how most email services sort emails, but you always have the option to change what they're being sorted by, whether it's from who they're from, the size, the subject line. It's very easy to switch between these different views, and one way I've found to be convenient is to go to the View tab of the ribbon. And from the Arrangement command group, I've got this drop down where I can choose any one of these different categories or who they're to display my emails in that order. The top option is always the date and the conversations view. Conversations view will group conversations together based on subject line. This is traditionally how most emails these days are sorted. Some people like it, some people find it frustrating. Whether you like it or you want to remove it, you can do that or turn it on or turn it off from the View tab of the ribbon. Here you'll see I have an email with the subject line of Excel work files, and I see the original message that I sent and the reply, all grouped together using this little arrow where I can expand or collapse that message. If I turn off the conversation view by removing the check mark from the View tab where it says Show as Conversations, I'm going to go ahead and just say this folder. Now you'll see that each one of those messages is its own row in my inbox. Now, again, some people really like this, some people dislike it. The great thing about Outlook is you have the option to display your emails in any way that works best for you. And sometimes changing the sort order of your messages can be convenient even for just a minute. And then you can always put it right back the way it was before. I'll give you a second to try this on your own. Try sorting your messages from the View tab of the ribbon. An additional option you have is to actually go into the View settings, which we'll do a little bit later, or right-click your mouse over the top of the emails, and here you can choose one of these same options. Within Outlook 2016, we have two useful features that help make finding emails and staying organized that much easier. They are the follow-up flags and the categories. Follow-up flags and categories add little bits of metadata to the emails in your inbox or in any of your folders, making it easier to search for things or to pull up emails all related to a specific subject. I'm going to go ahead and start with using the flagging features. If I get an email from someone, maybe I have this presentation image, I'm not able to get to this right now, but I do need to make sure that I look at it sometime today. When selected on this email, I get a little flag icon right here, and I can either right-click over the top to get all of my different flagging options, or I can left-click and that'll just apply that standard Due Today flag. I can also go up to the Home tab of the ribbon and I can change my flag to tomorrow or no date or custom. These are all flagging features, and what they'll do is they'll associate this particular email with a task. Now, as soon as I applied that flag, you'll see that the subject line presentation image has now been added to my to-do bar tasks. If I double click on this, it actually opens up that email. This is a great way to make sure that even though you might not be able to reply to something immediately or to forward it to someone, I can make sure that I don't miss it by applying one of these to-do flags. When I select on an email that has a flag applied, I get a contextual tab that appears when I'm selected on that email, giving me all of my different options for removing it from the list, replying or forwarding, changing one of my follow-up flags, or when I've completed this task, I can mark it complete. When I mark something complete, it now removes it from my taskbar on the right, and I get that nice little green check mark showing that that's been completed. I'm going to go ahead and pause so you can try this on your own. Apply a flag to one of the emails, and then see how it appears on your to-do bar. One really useful thing to do once you have a flag applied is that you can search for flags. Once you click into the search bar, I can choose that follow-up flag. I'm going to go ahead and let you try this on your own, and we'll continue on with categories after you practice. Now that you've applied follow-up flags, let's go ahead and switch gears to categories. Just like the flags, they're adding little bits of information that make it easier to search for emails or to group things by subject. I have a number of different categories that I've created here, things like Q1, Q2, HR, or budget. I also have one called Dead Red that is a kind of an emergency red category that I need to make sure if I don't get it done, things are going to be bad. So I only use that one sparingly. So I'm going to go ahead and select this email. This email will say as part of my Q3 planning. As soon as I apply that category, I get this colorful bar across the top. I'm going to go ahead and just apply a few more of these categories just so we can see some of them in our inbox. Now, you can apply multiple categories to an email. Maybe this email here is related to Q4 and the budget. I can have both of those categories listed, and it gives me that little bit of extra information that I can then search by if I'm looking for a previous category. If I search for budget, I get every email in my inbox that have used that blue category. For me personally, the use of categories and flags has eliminated me needing so many different folders. Oftentimes, it can be challenging determining what folder I should put an email in, and sometimes it makes sense to put it in multiple folders. With categories, you can get around those limitations of folders because you have the ability to apply multiple categories and follow-up flags on top of it. Give yourself a second to add some categories. Go up to the Categories button from the Home tab of the ribbon and select the All Categories button. Here you can select any one of your existing categories and rename it. So I'm going to rename it this one Important. I can also come up with a keyboard shortcut. And once I do, I've saved and renamed. I could also create new categories. You have about 25 different colors to use within the categories. You can actually use these color categories even more than once. So I'll give you a second to try this on your own. Go ahead and create some categories that'll be useful to you and your position or how you use Microsoft Outlook. As I mentioned, you can create custom categories simply by going to the All Categories button and choosing New. With those 25 colors, we can choose one that makes sense to us, and we can name it different items like emails from boss. Here, I can apply this category to any email from my boss, and later on, when we use quick steps and rules, we can have this done automatically. Go ahead and take a minute to create some custom categories, additionally ones that you've already been working with or adjusting some of the ones that you've added. Once you've applied and created these custom categories, go ahead and use a keyboard shortcut. This will save you time when categorizing emails. I wouldn't necessarily create a keyboard shortcut for each of the categories, but the ones that you use most frequently, it'll save you time in the long run. Earlier in these videos, we discussed the to-do bar. I'd like to go into a little more detail on what we can do with the to-do bar specifically. Right now, I have the to-do bar turned on for tasks, and along the right-hand side, I get a preview to the task portion of my Outlook. From the View tab of the ribbon, under the Layout command group, I have my to-do bar button where I can turn on things like calendar, people, and tasks as I had on earlier. To remove sections, I can either go back to that same button and remove check marks, or I can go up to the top right corner of each portion and use that little X to remove sections completely. The to-do bar can be turned on or off for each of these 3 different sections. And if I have something like calendar turned on, if I select a date on the calendar by double-clicking, it actually moves me to that date on my calendar. This is really nice as it gives me a preview into the other sections of my Outlook, and I can quickly open up March 1st and go ahead and schedule a meeting on my calendar. I can also do the same thing with tasks and contacts. If I go back to the View tab and turn on my to-do bar for people or tasks, I can add things or search for people. And here I can go ahead and add my coworkers, people that I communicate with regularly, send them an email from this simply by hovering over the top of their name and then clicking on the envelope icon. that opens up an email to that person. I think of the to-do bar as a preview to the other portions of Outlook so that I can stay within the mail section, but still get information like the people I work with, my calendar, and my tasks. I can even add new tasks from this right here, like schedule meeting or second quarter review. And as soon as I hit enter, that now becomes one of the items on my task list. Go ahead and try this on your own. Select the to-do bar options, turning them on, and then add an item or search for a contact through the options here in the to-do bar. To delete a message in Outlook, all we need to do is select that message that we'd like to delete. And then from the Home tab of the ribbon, we have the Delete button. We can also use keyboard shortcut Control-D, or while hovering over the message we want to delete, a little X will appear, and we can select that to delete the message. So one of these options, either by going to the ribbon, using the X icon on the email itself, or by using that keyboard shortcut Control-D, I can delete out any of the messages in my inbox or any other folder. Oftentimes, we also want to print emails. Here I have an email that has an agenda in it, and I might want to bring this with me to the meeting. To print a specific email in Outlook, what we're going to need to do is select on that email. Then, from the File tab of the ribbon, we'll navigate to Backstage, where we have our option to print. Now, when printing from the Mail portion of Outlook, we have the option to print the email that we've selected on, or we can print the entire inbox or view from the inbox. And here I can see I've got 3 pages of emails. So to print and delete, it's simple as using the X to delete, going to the File menu, selecting Print to print an individual email or a list of all of the emails in your current view. Try this on your own. Go ahead and find an email that you no longer need and delete it, and then also go to the File menu and see how you have those 2 options available for printing emails. When you have emails from specific clients, vendors, or coworkers, you might want to save those email addresses as a contact. There's a number of different reasons why this might be valuable. One would be if you were doing a mail merge and creating a number of emails through an email template to be sent out through the contacts that you have in Outlook. It's very simple to add an existing email address to a contact when you're selected on that email. Here I have my coworker 10-10 student, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that email and then navigate up to the reading view where I see that name. When I hover over that name, it gives me a little pop-up where I can then compose an email to this person. But I also have this little drop-down that will open up the contact card. Once I've opened up the contact card, I can see the relationship I have with this person within my organization and what their email address is. At the top right corner of the contact card, I have an Add button, and here I can select Add. This will go ahead and give me the opportunity to add additional information like a phone number, a birthday, or an address. Once I've put in all of the appropriate information, I can use the Save button to save this as a contact within my Outlook People section. I'm going to go ahead and navigate to that portion of the Outlook interface, and by selecting on People from my status bar at the bottom. Here I can see that contact that I just added, and I can open that contact card up to then make any necessary edits to it. Try this on your own. Go ahead and save an email as a contact or navigate to the People section of Outlook and choose New Contact. That way you can go ahead and add all the important information or convert an existing email that you've received from someone to a specific contact card simply by hovering over the top, going to the drop-down arrow below that and opening up the contact card and choosing Add. If there are specific contacts that you have regular interaction with, it might be worthwhile to add them as a favorite. Favorites are added under the to-do bar, so I'm going to go ahead and navigate back to the View tab of the ribbon to the to-do bar button, and I'm going to turn on the people portion of my to-do bar list. Here I can search for a specific name within my organization, and when I find that person that I want to add as a favorite, I simply right-click over the top and choose Add to Favorites. Now, as I move around outside of my to-do bar, I can see that that contact is still available. I'm going to go ahead and do this with a few other contacts so that I can have a list of all of those coworkers that I regularly interact with. And again, I'm just hovering over the top and choosing Add to Favorites. Now, in my People pane, in my to-do bar, I have my favorite contacts listed here, and I can quickly compose emails to them, or I can get into other additional information, such as editing the contact or opening up their contact card. Try this on your own. Go ahead and search for people within the to-do bar that you regularly interact with. Right-click over the top of the name once it comes up in your list and choose Add to Favorites. I'm now going to navigate to the People portion of my Outlook to show you some different options we have for sorting and finding contacts. If I know of a certain name, I can come up to the top right corner and search a first name, like Billy, and it's going to search through all of my contacts, and here I can see that I have Billy Gates as one of my available contacts. In addition, I can also change the view of these contacts by sorting them or displaying the information in a different way. If I want to sort by company name, I can simply click on the company header through my People view. This will sort in ascending or descending order by whatever column I happen to select on. Depending on how many contacts you have available, this will be effective, or in my case, I only have a few, so I can see all of them within one particular view. I can also go up to this list of different views, just like we had in Mail, and quickly switch through the available views within my People section of Outlook. So whether you sort to find people or whether you use the search bar, the People section of Outlook organizes your contacts in whatever way is most convenient for you. Just remember that you have all these different options, so it is worthwhile to add as many of your contacts as possible. We're going to go ahead and create a contact group next, but go ahead and sort and filter your contacts. Use the search bar to look for someone, and then we'll go ahead and continue on with the People section of our Outlook training. When you are regularly sending emails to the same group of people, it's worthwhile to take a minute and create a contact group. Contact groups were formerly called distribution lists, and they can be created from the People section of Outlook. From the Home tab of the ribbon, I'm going to go ahead and select New Contact Group. This is going to give me the window to name my group, and I can name it something like My Team. And then once I've named the group, I can use the Add Members buttons to add email addresses from within my organization or outside of my organization. I'm going to go ahead and use the Global Address Book and open up all of my different contacts. Here I can add the members of my team that I want to include. And once everyone is listed here, I'm going to go ahead and select OK. Now you can see that I have 4 different contacts in my group called My Team. If someone leaves the group or goes to a different department, I can select that name and choose Remove Member. And if I decide later down the road I want to edit my contact group, all I need to do is find that either by searching or by sorting. Double-click on that contact group and then select Add Members. Again, you can add members from your Outlook contacts, from your global address book, or simply by typing in an email. Go ahead and try this on your own. Create a contact group with people from a team or a group of people that you're regularly communicating with, your boss, your colleagues. And then once you've named the group, go ahead and use the Add Members button to search for those contacts. Once all of the names are inserted in there, make sure to click Save and Close. And then if for whatever reason you need to edit that group, it's as simple as double-clicking, opening up the contact card, and then adding or removing additional members. You can also forward these groups to coworkers so that they don't have to go through these steps. This is a nice thing to do so that everyone has this convenient contact group, saving them time in composing emails. Once I've edited my contact group, I'm going to move back to Mail, and I'm going to click New Mail. When I type in my team, that contact group is added, and if I want to verify that it is the correct contact group, I simply have to ungroup this by selecting the plus sign. Now I can see everyone that is part of that My Team group. Outlook tasks are a great way to stay organized and make sure that you don't miss something important. Earlier, we saw how we could apply follow-up flags to emails so that they show up on our task list. I'm going to now navigate to this task section of Outlook by clicking on the bottom through the navigation. This has moved me to the task portion of Microsoft Outlook. I'm going to go ahead and create a new task, and this new task opens up a new dialog box where I can put in the subject of this task. I'm going to go ahead and say Review Q3 Budget. This is a task that has a specific start date, and I'll put that today, and I need to have it reviewed by the 19th. I can go ahead and set a status, whether it's been started, a priority, high, low, or normal, and how far complete I am. I also have the ability to set a reminder to finish this task or start working on it. Once I've added all the important information for the task, I can even attach the budget itself or any notes that would be helpful when completing this project. I'm going to choose Save and Close, and now I have a new task down due this week, Review Q3 Budget. To mark this task complete or edit this task, I can simply double-click on it, and I have the option to mark it as complete. Or I can say, I've now started this, it's in progress. And I'll go ahead and say it's 50% complete. Once I've saved and closed, I still don't see any additional information from the row of the tasks. But when I look in the reading view, I can see that it's in progress and that it's 50% complete. To make a final edit or to mark it as complete, I don't have to actually open up that task list. I can simply select it and then use this check mark complete up at the top of the Home tab of the ribbon. Now that task list has been completed, and if I go into my completed task view, I can see that Review Q3 Budget has been completed. Try this on your own. Go to the task portion of Microsoft Outlook, create a new task, and then edit that task by double-clicking or using the options available to you on the ribbon. In Microsoft Outlook, we have both tasks and to-do lists. A task is an Outlook item that is stored within the task folder. A to-do is any Outlook item that is flagged for follow-up, usually flagging email, as well as the tasks in the tasks folder of the profile. So although there is some overlap, a to-do is something that we've added by right-clicking or selecting the flag item. This makes something a to-do. Where a task is actually an item that we add with that new task information, giving us the status, the priority, and the percent complete. Both tasks and to-do list items can be very valuable and again help you stay organized and not forget to reply to an important email. I'm a big fan of using the to-do flags mostly because they translate to my cell phone. From my smartphone, I have a flag option, and if I'm out at lunch and I get an important email that I need to reply to, I can use that flagging feature. Unfortunately, I cannot show you that in this video, but I encourage you, those of you that have a smartphone that might find value in this, to look around for your flagging feature. As I mentioned earlier, to-dos are things that we've flagged, whereas tasks are items that we've actually added by choosing the new task button. That being said, if you want to convert an existing email not just to do, but to an actual task, it's very simple. Find the email that you'd like to convert to an actual task, and then click on that email and drag it to the task portion. Once you release, it'll actually include all of that information from the message, and I get all of those task options like start date, due date, status, priority, and percent complete. Whereas if I would have just flagged this email with a flag, it does show up on my to-do bar and in my peek to the tasks, but it doesn't actually convert it to a task with all of those options that I just discussed. So again, try this on your own. Find an email that you'd like to convert to a task, click on it, and then drag it down and release on that task button. Then you can go ahead and complete all of that missing information, ensuring that once it's done, it shows up under your task section. And here I can see that complete eval message. Another important section in Microsoft Outlook 2016 is the calendar. To navigate to the calendar, I'm going to use my button here, and it'll bring me to the current day. I want to give you just a little brief introduction to the Outlook calendar. It has a very similar format to the other areas of Microsoft Outlook, including the ribbon and the navigation along the left. One new feature in 2016 is this weather. I can go to the drop-down. The default weather is always set at Washington, D.C., and I can add a location. Here I've searched San Francisco, California, and now it's updated my weather, and I can see that we're going to get cooler by Wednesday. We also have from the Home tab of the ribbon the ability to arrange our calendar in many different ways, such as showing the work week, the month, to open up existing calendars from address books, in other words, our coworkers' calendar, manager or employees' calendars. So the ribbon, just like the other portions of Outlook, give us all those different options for working within the calendar. The navigation pane gives us the ability to move through the different months, to show shared calendars, just like it would when we were in the mail viewing different folders of information. Now, the calendar section of Outlook also has a to-do bar. It's off by default, but I can turn that on by adding the to-do bar for my contacts or my people and my different tasks. From the View tab, I can also change the color, add a reading pane or a folder pane, and then set reminders. Try this on your own. Go to the calendar section of Outlook and just explore the different ribbons that we have at the top, remembering that the Tell Me feature can help you find buttons that you're looking for. And then down at the bottom, we have the ability to switch between our reading view and our normal view. One additional way to arrange your calendar is to use the Schedule view. The Schedule view shows your calendar in a horizontal layout, which makes it easy when comparing your availability to someone else's. You can add additional calendars simply by clicking into this bottom section, and I can search for an additional calendar of my coworkers. Now I can see both my calendar in blue and my colleague's calendar in green. Tomorrow afternoon, I know I have a number of meetings, and if I want to meet with a coworker, I can see that they're available at 3 o'clock as well. The Schedule view makes it very convenient, especially when looking to schedule time in conference rooms that are incorporated into Outlook, or when scheduling meetings with people that you work with. Now, the Schedule view won't show you everyone's calendar if they're outside of the organization, but again, it's a very useful tool in viewing the calendar in a way that makes sense logically. Try this on your own. Go to a day that you have meetings scheduled and open up the scheduling view by selecting it from the Home tab of the ribbon. Then add calendars down at the bottom, or use a scroll bar to scroll through your availability. From the calendar portion of Microsoft Outlook, I have the ability to add new appointments on the Home tab of the ribbon. I can also use that convenient keyboard shortcut, Control-N, and when in my calendar portion of Outlook, it'll open up the new appointment window. An appointment is something that I'm not inviting anyone else to. Maybe it's a personal appointment, maybe it's something that I want to remind myself to do. Here I can say that I have an appointment, and I'm going to go ahead and say that with the building manager. I'm going to put in the information, the time, and today at 4 o'clock, I want to be sure that I go to the lobby on the first floor and speak to the building manager. And I'm going to go ahead and ask about holidays. Once I've added the information for my appointment, I've put in the start time, end time. I can also say that this is an all-day event. I'm going to go ahead and use the Save and Close button, and now I can see that it's placed that new appointment on my calendar. If I need to edit this appointment, it's as simple as selecting on it. I can edit it using the calendar tools at the top. Maybe I want to invite someone. Maybe my coworker needs to come with me, or our operations team. I can set my reminder. Maybe 15 minutes is a little too much. Maybe I'll change that to 5 minutes. And I can even use the categories that I've created in the Mail section of Outlook to add extra information or metadata to that meeting. So from the Home tab of the ribbon, I chose New Appointment, and then to edit that appointment, I selected on it and used my Contextual tab Calendar Tools. If I want to make any additional edits, I can double-click on the appointment. It opens it up, and I can put in more information. So I can put in Ask About. Appointments are a very useful way to stay organized and keep your calendar full of the information that you need to be sure you don't miss. One other option that I really like when scheduling appointments or editing appointments is to set a 0-minute appointment time. This means that the start and finish are both at the same time, so it'll show up on my calendar, it'll give me a reminder, but it doesn't take up any time on my calendar. So if this time is flexible, I can move it, or people could schedule me for another meeting at 4 o'clock because when they looked at my calendar, it wouldn't be busy. I also have the ability to just say that it's a free time, that I'm still available to be scheduled for something else by using this free option from my Appointment tab of the ribbon. Go ahead and try this on your own, create an appointment, and go ahead and edit it, making sure that you're comfortable using appointments in Outlook 2016. Oftentimes, appointments are reoccurring, as in something happens every Friday at 3 o'clock. To schedule a reoccurring appointment, you're going to go ahead and choose the New Appointment button. Here I can select the date, and I can say Friday at 3 o'clock, I have a reoccurring appointment to send out email reminders. I don't have to put in a location, but I can if there's a place that I always do this. Because I'm going to be at my desk, I'm going to go ahead and put my desk. And I'm not going to put a lot of information because this is something I understand what this means. It's an appointment to send out email reminders. It takes me about a half hour. Now, to make this a reoccurring appointment, I'm going to go to the Appointment tab of the ribbon, and from the Options group, I'm going to choose Reoccurrence. This opens up my Appointment Reoccurrence dialog box, where I can say whether or not this is recurring daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. I can have it recur every 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And if I want it to recur on multiple days, I can use the checkboxes here so that it doesn't just reoccur on Friday, but it reoccurs on Monday as well. One thing that I usually recommend is having it end by a specific date, not letting it go on forever and ever. The only reason that you wouldn't want to is oftentimes organizations have limits on reoccurring appointments or they make changes yearly. My recommendation is to usually not have it extend beyond the current year. So I'm going to go ahead and have it stop on December 30th, 2016. Once I've set all of my different options, I can go ahead and say OK. Save this appointment, and now if I look at the different Mondays and Fridays through February and March, I see that send out email reminders at my desk scheduled from 3 to 3:30 every Monday and Friday. Try this on your own. Open up a new appointment window and create a reoccurring appointment. To delete a reoccurring appointment, you can simply double click on it and you have the option to just delete this one event or open just this one event or the entire series. If I want to delete the entire series, all I have to do is choose the delete button, or I can open up just this one meeting, say okay, and just delete this one particular event. Scheduling a meeting in Microsoft Outlook is very similar to scheduling an appointment. The difference being that a meeting is setting you up to include other people. I'm going to go ahead from the calendar portion of Outlook and I'm going to click New Meeting. This opens up my new window, and the only difference you'll notice is that there's a place to put in the to. Here I can put in that group I created earlier, my team, and I can put in a subject line like team meeting and the location. I'm going to schedule this meeting for Wednesday at 3 o'clock, and it's going to be an hour-long meeting. Now, once I send this out, everyone on my team, everyone that's included in this group, will receive an email and they can choose to accept it or make it tentative or not accept the meeting. And then if they do accept it, it'll place it on their calendar. Now, another useful thing is using that as scheduling assistant. Here I can see all of the different availability of my team and whether or not they're available at that specific time. If I ungroup this, it breaks everyone's email addresses out into their own row, and I can look for a time that works for everyone. To move back to the appointment, I'm going to select from the Meeting tab, Appointment, and here I can put in our meeting agenda and any other important information that the group will need. I'm going to go ahead and send this meeting out by clicking the Send button, and now everyone will receive a meeting invite for the 17th, and it's placed on my calendar as well. If I need to include someone else in my event, I can double click on that and I can add additional email addresses and go ahead and send an update. This will include that most recent coworker that I just added. I have the choice when sending an update to send updates to all attendees or just to who I've added. And I'm going to just go ahead and send an update to who I've added or deleted. And in this case, it was added. Go ahead and try this on your own. Create a new event by scheduling a new meeting and include a coworker or even a personal email to test it out. When I receive a new meeting invitation, it shows up in my inbox. Here I can see that I have a new message called Friday Lunch Meeting. And if I select on it, I can see that I got a message from my coworker, Joe, saying that he wants to have lunch on Friday to discuss how the week went. When I click on that, I get a new set of options along the top, different than when it was just a regular email. When selecting on a calendar invite or a meeting invite, you get these options to accept, editing the response before you send it, or sending the response or not sending the response, making it tentative, such as I'm not quite sure I'm available, but I'll go ahead and put it on my calendar and let you know, declining the meeting, or if this is a great idea but the time doesn't work, I can make it tentative and propose a new time, or decline the meeting and propose a new time. This way, Joe receives my response and knows that that time might not work for me, but I have suggested something that does. I can also double click on the meeting and actually open it up in a new window. Here I get additional options, but really all of those same options are there as well. But I can flag it or categorize it, or I can reply to this meeting or forward it to someone else as an attachment. I'm going to go ahead and accept this meeting, and once I do, I'm going to send the response. Now, if I move back to my calendar, that meeting has been added to my calendar on Friday at noon as I accepted that. So once you've responded to meeting invitations, again, you can create your own like we did in the previous video, or you can quickly respond to other people's meeting invitations. One other thing I really like is the ability to reply to an email with a meeting. If I click on an email that I've received, I have from the Respond command group of the Home tab this Reply with Meeting button. What this does is it actually takes that email thread, converts it to a meeting where I'm inviting the person that sent me that email, and I can include other people. And now I can say, let's go ahead and meet tomorrow afternoon, and we'll say at 5 o'clock. Once I hit send, my coworker will get a meeting with all of this information included in that email. And it's a great way when you're going back and forth on an email message, and really the appropriate thing is just to have a face-to-face meeting. Save that step of saying, hey, should we meet? You can use this Reply with Meeting button, and they can let you know by either accepting the meeting or responding with a new time suggestion on if that works for them. Go ahead and try this on your own. Explore some of those options for sending and responding to meeting invitations or replying with a meeting to an already existing email. There are many ways to customize the Outlook calendar, including adding things like the to-do bar or changing the weather. I'm going to go ahead and go to the View tab of the ribbon, and I'm going to change the default color of my Outlook calendar. Maybe make something a little cheerier. I've got my yellow calendar here. I can also switch it to teal or peach. And again, this is just giving me that calendar color for me only. Other people will not see this. I can also do things like customize my view. I've got many different view options. From the View tab of my ribbon, I can go into my view settings, and I can create conditional formats for particular appointments and other things. But those things are less important. A few of the really important calendar customizations are found within the options. I'm going to navigate to the File tab of the ribbon, and from the File tab of the ribbon, I'm going to move into my Outlook options. Here on the left-hand side, I'm going to select Calendar. One of the really nice things is that we can set what available hours we work. Maybe I don't work Fridays, or maybe I work on Sundays. I can also set my hour, so maybe I don't come in until 8:30 in the morning, and I leave at 5:30. Setting these options doesn't make it impossible for people to schedule you before 8:30 or after 5:30. It just shows that as your availability, and when you open up your calendar, it defaults to that range of time. We also have some great options like setting default reminders. If 15 minutes is too long or too short, you can change that. Every appointment or meeting that you can create can also have custom reminders, but this is the default. One thing I really like to do is to add an additional time zone. I can add an additional time zone like Eastern Time or Hawaii time. And I'm going to go ahead and do that by adding the Eastern US time because I work with a lot of people in New York. Once I've added that additional time zone or I've made any changes to my default reminders or my availability, I want to be sure to set OK down at the bottom. When I come back, I can see now that rather than having that kind of darker gray end at 8 o'clock, it ends at 8:30 and it stays available until 5:30. In addition, I now have 2 time zones represented, and I always know that the time zone with the blue line is mine, but I can see where it's 2:30 here in the Pacific in San Francisco. In New York, it's 5:30. So customizing your calendar really is going to depend on how you use your calendar and what your needs are. Take a moment right now to go into the File menu, into the options, and explore all of the different customizations for your calendar. Be sure that if you make any changes that you say OK so that those changes are saved. In earlier sections of these videos, we discussed the value of using things like categories and flags to make it easier to search and find information. I also mentioned that sometimes using categories and flags can be easier than creating so many folders. But that doesn't take away the need for folders completely. It's helpful to stay organized within your email by putting things in folders related to specific projects or information that you may need to quickly get back to. To add new folders, we can go to the Folder tab of the ribbon, and whatever you're selected on when you choose New Folder, it'll create a subfolder from that portion. I'm here on my inbox, and I'm going to choose New Folder, and here it's going to open up my Create New Folder dialog box. I'm going to go ahead and put in a Q1 folder, and I'm going to say OK. Now, if I wanted to create another folder within Q1, maybe for budget items or from team emails, I can do that by clicking on the Q1 folder. I'm selected on Q1, and I'm going to choose New Folder again, and I'm going to type in Budget. Now I have a folder called Q1, and inside of that folder is my budget folder. Now, to add emails to that particular folder, I can go ahead and find a file that I want to select, and then click and drag it to that location. It's that simple to add emails to existing folders. Simply click, drag, and drop right into that location, just like you would in your Explorer window in Windows. Creating folders, mailbox subfolders, is a helpful way to stay organized. And when we receive lots of emails on a daily basis, it's helpful to be able to go directly to that location and get all of that information that you need. There are several other ways to add folders by right-clicking and choosing New Folder, but I find using that Folder tab of the ribbon to be easiest. Now, if I needed to move budget, let's say that this budget folder should not have been created under Q1. It should be the same list level. I can select on that budget folder, and from the Folder tab, I have my option to move the folder. Here I can select what I want it to be listed under, and in this case, I want it to be under my inbox. I choose Inbox and say OK. And now Budget and Q1 are the same list level. Try this on your own. Create a folder or put a folder inside of another folder, and then practice dragging and dropping emails to that location. Finding Outlook items can be tricky, and that's why we have things like folders, categories, and flags. But I want to get into some of the different search options we have that make all the difference when looking for emails within a crowded inbox. Right above our email messages, we have our search box, and if I click into here, I get a very useful ribbon or a contextual tab for search tools. By default, whatever you're selected on, that's what it's going to be looking in. You can see here that the current mailbox is highlighted. If I move to my sent items and click into the search box, it's going to be searching this current folder. So again, keep that in mind and notice what the default is. Now, one of the things that I love about the search options in Microsoft Outlook 2016 is the ability to refine my search. If I know I'm looking for emails from a specific person, I can click the From and then type in their name, whether just first name or first name and last name. I can also say I'm looking for an email that not only is from 10-10, but an email that has an attachment. And here, every email that that particular person sent me with an attachment shows up in my list. Once I've used these different searches, if I want to come back, I can quickly get to any recent searches. And here I have that recent search 10-10 has attachments. So using the refines like when it came in, whether it was flagged, whether it was categorized with a specific category, whether it was sent to me directly or if I'm CC'd or if it was from to another recipient, all of this really helps you find the information in your inbox. One of the things I can't stress enough, though, is be aware if you want it to look in subfolders, be sure to click into that subfolder button as well. That way it's looking in the budget and Q1 folders, not just the inbox. Try this yourself. Go ahead and click into the search section and use the search tools to refine your search. Then come back and see how that search shows up as a recent search item. If you find yourself searching for the same items over and over again, it might be valuable to create a search folder. Search folders are very convenient in that they go and they pull information from any folder within Outlook. You can create search folders for emails with attachments or emails from specific people. And to do this, you're going to go to the Folder tab of the ribbon. From the Folder tab of the ribbon, I'm going to select New Search Folder. Here I can see that I can add a search folder for unread mail. I notice that I have 12 unread messages that are scattered throughout my inbox. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. And once I do, I now have a new folder under my search folder section in my navigation pane showing me all those unread messages. And I can quickly go through reading each one without having to scroll all the way back from weeks ago. It's just a really nice way to save time. Now, it didn't move any of these folders out of where they came from. It just went and put them in one easy view. It's running a query on the entire Outlook inbox and subfolders, giving me all those locations of unread mail. I'm going to add an additional search folder, and this time it's going to be from mail from specific people. When I check on that template of a search folder, I'm going to then need to choose who that person is. And I'm going to go ahead and put in my coworker 10-10. Once I say OK, I now have a new search folder, and without me having to file any of these emails in this location, I have every email that this particular student sent to me or that I sent to them. So search folders, again, run a query on all of your folders and subfolders and quickly place information in that section. If I send a new email to 10-010, I'm going to just call it test search folder. Send it. As soon as I do, it shows up in that folder, right? So we went and got this out of my sent items and placed it into this search folder without me having to do anything. I think search folders are one of the best features in Microsoft Outlook, and I encourage you to use them as often as possible. It will save you a lot of time. Once they're set up, they're always available, and you can expand or collapse your search folders in your navigation pane. Have fun with search folders. Go ahead and create a few on your own right now. One other portion of Outlook that we haven't discussed yet is Notes. From the bottom of my navigation, I'm going to use the ellipses to select Notes. Notes are a great place to keep little reminders, information, account information, passwords, steps that you might want to use. From the Home tab of the Notes section, I can choose New Note, and it opens up a little sticky note. I can put in maybe a web address that I want to be sure I don't forget. And once I've closed out of this note, it adds it and saves it here. It's basically like a permanent sticky note that lives inside of your Outlook folder. You can sort notes just like you would anything in Outlook, notes from the last 7 days, a notes list, or the icon. And again, notes are just nice little ways to remind yourself or save important information. Oftentimes, I'll have valuable information or information I use that I might need to quickly get back to. And rather than saving all of this information, I can go into an email, copy that information using Control-C, go back to the notes portion, and then create a new note where I paste this information in. Now, I always have my agenda items available to me as a note within Outlook. They're very, very simple features, really just like a little notepad. But the beauty of a digital notepad is you don't ever have to worry about it getting accidentally thrown away or falling off your monitor like sticky notes have in the past. So take a minute, navigate to the ellipses, open up the notes portion, and create a new note. If you think this is going to be something that you use frequently, go to the ellipses navigation options and tell it to display notes. So I increase the number of visible items to 5, and I'm going to say OK. And now the notes are something that I can select from that navigation down at the bottom.